Hey guys, welcome to Whispers of Charleston. My name is Savannah, and today we're going to be talking about the Price House Cottage Bed and Breakfast. Is it here in Somerville? But before that, I would like to get into some light housekeeping. Please don't forget to like and share the podcast, and if you could be so kind and generous to give me a 5-star rating and review, that would be a huge help. And don't forget about the Facebook group and the Instagram page. I would love to get to know y'all more. I also have a Patreon page. So if y'all could, so I will be posting the episodes early over there with the videos. So feel free to jump over and take a look. I also have a YouTube page that I will be posting the videos same day I drop the episodes. So I would like to thank John, Larissa, Kayla, Annie, Robert, Kelly, James, Josh, Kim, Tanya, Victoria, Brett, Mary, Val, Trevor, Rebecca, and Andre for joining the Facebook group. Yay! Thank you all. I really do appreciate that. So the more that we get more people who join, I will be doing little huzzahs for joining. That is a pretty big deal for me. I really do want to get to know y'all more. I get a little tally thing of kind of where listeners are from, and I have someone from Wisconsin. So if y'all have some cool stories in Wisconsin, let me know. Let's see. Actually, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna detour because I can. And we're gonna be fun. All right. So I have people from Ireland, Japan, Hong Kong, United Kingdom, Singapore, and Slovenia. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. My one listener there. Let me know what it's like in Slovenia and Singapore. I have an old coworker who was from the Philippines, and I loved her. She was a great lady. And then for the U.S., I have North Carolina as my biggest listeners in the United States. So hey y'all, let me know if y'all have any cool Bigfoot stories. I'd love to hear them. And Virginia and California, South Carolina. Hey y'all, Utah, New Jersey, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Illinois. Sometimes we do say Illinois, not gonna lie, in the South. North Dakota, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So that's pretty cool. I do love looking at the stats every day. It's kind of fun. But anyways, I digress. I now want to get back on topic. I kind of want to start doing dad jokes. I'm kind of a sucker for dad jokes. No lie, I'll laugh at my own dad jokes. And my old meat manager used to sit there and just stare at me like, "Come on, Savannah, are we really doing this today?" So, anyways, okay, so we're gonna get started with the story. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Tri-County area, Somerville is 30 miles outside of Charleston to the northwest. Somerville is in Dorchester County. The Price House Cottage is the second oldest residential home in Somerville, dating back to 1812. The home is located on Sumter Street. On Sumter Street, David Price bought the home and converted it into a bed and breakfast. Since the home was built, only 6 families have lived in that home, and the majority of the families have been related by blood or marriage. This is quite unique since the home is only 200 years old. In 1974, Mr. Price acquired the cottage and began restorations and updating the building's integrity while maintaining the historical quality and essences of the home while converting it into the B&B. So it is preserved through the Somerville Preservation Society. SPS and they're a nonprofit organization dedicated to safeguarding the architectural culture and historic heritage of Somerville. Headquarters is located in Old Town Hall on 201 West Caroline Avenue in Somerville. SPS started in March of 1972, and the group has grown to be over 500 members. It's been a long day. I work out in the heat all day, and the Charleston heat got to me today, y'all. Alright, so many guests comment that no detail has been overlooked when it comes to the B&B and maintaining the charm of the old Somerville. I personally don't believe that it has changed much either. restoration, I'll get the word right eventually, transports visitors to a time when Somerville was considered one of the top locations in the country to visit, vacation, and smell the wonderful aroma of the pine trees. It is said that the pine trees have medical use due to the sap. Somerville is known for being the town or the land in the pines, as well as being the flower town for the azaleas. It is home of sweet tea, so if you have anyone that is a diabetic and loves sweet tea, well, don't blame us. Just kidding. Many people fall in love with the location once they travel into Somerville. After spending time here, one becomes overwhelmed with desire to stay and perhaps extend their visit in time forever. Somerville has become a destination location to move, and apparently this would be the case for the Price House Cottage. Immediately after they moved into the location in 1974, strange and unexplainable things began to happen to the Price family and their guests. On their first night, the Price family was woken up by the sound of running water. As they began to investigate, they found the source of the problem. The faucets in the house had been unexpectedly turned on. And it wasn't just one, it was all of them. The issue with the faucets proceeded to continue. The family began to realize that the grandfather clock would stop every night at approximately 10 minutes or so after everyone went to bed. The clock would work fine during the day, but at night it would stop as soon as everyone went into their rooms and crawled into bed. This puzzled the Price family, but eventually the issues with the clock became symbolic and a normal event. As things went on and time went on, with everything was business as usual. But it seemed at night it was a different story, because it seemed as soon as the clock stopped, so did everything else. It almost seemed like the past became one with the present. One night, as the family was still moving in, a guest had fallen asleep on the sofa in the living room. Seemed to be very tired from the helping with the move. During the night, the guest was awakened by the sound of heavy breathing, and it seemed to be directly beside her. The sound seemed to startle her, but what initially had been surprise quickly turned into fear. When she realized that there was no one else in the room besides her, that was when the pure fear kicked in. Another night, the Price had some guests over. Things were going well until the entire group's attention was diverted to a window in the room. The one window had a single pane fog up before everyone's eyes, as if someone had just breathed warm air on it. As they continued to watch in amusement, the window pane cleared, and then before they knew it, another one fogged up. As the coincidence cleared, another fogged up, and then it would happen again and again. It was as if someone were deliberately breathing on each window pane. The crowd was memorized by the event until the group jointly realized that no one was on the other side of the window or anywhere near the glass. The pattern of events seemed to increase in the past weeks. Eventually, footsteps could be heard pacing the floors. Cold spots could be felt. The family members were beginning to be bumped into or touched by unseen presences. Things began to disappear. It could be in one location, then move to another. One incident occurred when David Price's daughter was home from college. His daughter had owned a very special ruby ring that her mother had given to her as a gift for her 16th birthday. The ring turned up missing, literally overnight. As the family did an extensive search throughout the main house, the cottage, and the grounds, the ring was nowhere to be found. The family continued to search until it was time for David's daughter to go back to college. The ring hadn't been seen until 2 years later. One day, David was cleaning the library when he picked up a very large stack of books and began sorting through them. At the very bottom of the stack was a thesaurus that had seemed to have something inside of it. When Price went to investigate what was inside the book, and sure enough, against all odds, there was the ruby ring. The Prices became used to the events in the home. It seemed that more of the guests were experiencing these encounters and more like the Price family was. In fact, a mother and daughter were dining when they had claimed to observed a ghostly couple. The guests questioned the Prices and became slightly unnerved when they were informed that no one else had been in the dining room with them, and the place was considered to be haunted. Another guest complained of having closed the plantation blinds the night before so he could sleep in. The following morning, as the sun rose, so did he. He was awakened by sunlight beaming directly in his face. As he sat up and cleared his eyes, he became very aware that the plantation blinds were in fact open after he knew he closed them the night before. But oddly enough, this guest had noticed that every plantation blind in the house was open, and he was the only occupant inside of the locked cottage. David Price had been told that the previous owners that the place was haunted by two ghosts, a man and a woman. Maybe they were married. Maybe they were siblings. The previous owner claimed to have seen them and believed that they were the spirits of the home's previous owner who had decided to stay. Maybe the home is where they were most happiest when they were alive. Initially, he dismissed the idea, but now Mr. Price was beginning to realize there might be some merit to the information that he had originally been told by the old tenants, and maybe they weren't embellishing it. Prior to the residence belonging to David Price and his family, it was owned by Mayor John R. Middlebrook and his wife. They had purchased the location in 1970 and Miss Middleton reported seeing ghosts at the location. In 1973, newspaper article in the Somerville Scene regarding the restoration efforts in the home, the writer reported seeing a male apparition. When describing the ghostly occupant to their neighbors, the neighbors shared their suspicions of who the spirits might be. The Middlebrooks were the ones who advised the Price family of the hauntings in the home. In 1925, Miss Margorie Mullins of Franklin, Pennsylvania, married William Leisnring. As a wedding gift, they received the home. They owned the home for many years and utilized it as a winter vacation home. After Mr. Leisnring passed away, his widow moved into the home permanently and remained there until she sold it to the Middlebrooks in 1970. So for 45 years, Marjorie had owned the home she received as a wedding gift. For many years, she and her husband spent their lives together, building memories until they became part of the home as the boards, bricks, and nails that were held together, writes Bruce Orr in his book, Haunted Somerville Book. The home was too much for Miss Leisnring. It's a really weird name. It's Leisnring, to give up the home. In fact, she died 3 years later after selling the home to the Middlebrooks. Her love for her husband and her home knew no boundaries, and perhaps even death was not an obstacle. The cottage is available for individual bookings. David Price prides himself on the fact that he never overcrowds the location by overbooking guests. This allows couples to enjoy the tranquility and peace of the cottage without interfering from other guests. But one thing he doesn't guarantee, that you won't encounter one particular couple at the cottage who have apparently booked themselves in for a long-term stay and have no desire or plans of ever vacating. I have used some information from Bruce Orr's book, Haunted Somerville. I've also talked to some locals about the home and have gotten some information from the neighbors. All right, my little butts, just remember, don't leave any stone unturned unless you're at the Price House Cottage. Then you might want to leave that for Miss Marjorie. Thank you for listening to Whispers of Charleston, where the streets whisper back, but are you listening close enough to hear what's being said? All right, bye y'all.